And we are on to number two. Number two, we have a factored form quadratic equation right here, and we're going to be using something called the zero product property, which says that if A is multiplied by B, and that gives you 0, then either A is 0 or B is 0. So we can solve these equations by taking, this is like your A, this is like your B, multiplied together, and setting each one of them equal to 0. This one, add 2, divide by 3. We would get x equals 2/3. This one, I would add the x over to the other side. We would end up with 4 is equal to x. So there are our two solutions. Now, if we take a look at Desmos, I put this into an equation, and you'll notice that sure enough, it hits 0. Here's the 0 line at two different places. One of them is here at 4, and the other one is here at 2/3 or 0.667. Cool. Now, if you look at the next problem that I gave you, I did two things. The first is I stuck a 5 in front of it. And the other thing is that I swapped the two terms, like this and this. See how I switched the 3x and the 2, and then switched the x and the 4. So the question is, what is that going to do to our solution? Well, let's start by looking at what happens when we switch the order here. So I'm going to change this to 2 minus 3x. And I'm going to switch this to x minus 4. Okay. Well, it turns out that we still end up with zeros in the exact same two spots. Another thing is what happens when we stick a 5 in front. And the answer is that the graph gets a lot taller, but you'll see that our zeros are still at 0.667 and at 4. So the moral of the story is that this 5 does not give us any new solutions. And that our other solutions are going to be the same. They're going to be x equals 2/3 and x equals 4. Cool. Now, what about if we put a 5x in front? Will that change our solutions? Let's take a look at Desmos. So I'm now going to throw an x in here. Ba-boom! Oh, and sure enough, see that all of a sudden now we've got another spot where the curve is crossing the x-axis, and it is specifically at 0. So we still have the 2/3, we still have the 4, but now 0 is also a solution. And you can kind of imagine why if you look at the equation. On this one, I would say there are 1, 2, 3 terms. If I set the first one equal to 0, I could divide both sides by 5. That would give me x equals 0 to accompany the 2/3 from this factor and the 4 from this factor. Keep moving. See you on video number 3.